tell you about myself. I'm Elmer Bruce Jr., Reverend Elmer Bruce Jr. I never thought that I would have to, after 63 years, go back and try to bring up my childhood up to all this. But as far back as I can remember, we lived in Mandeville, Arkansas. And my activities was playing with my sister basically from the point of my remembrance.
And when were you born?
I was born September the 25th, 1930.
Mm-hmm.
At that time, we had wood stoves for heating the house, wood stove for cooking. We didn't have the modern conveniences like they have now, but we enjoyed it and we were happy. Basically, I remember I used to stand by the heater because I was cold, and I would stand by the heater, and I'd get too close and I'd touch against the heater with my stomach. And from that point of remembrance, I had a scar, a burn scar on my stomach from where I was standing too close to the heater. All right, we go on, and that time they didn't have too many up-to-date conveniences for it. It was up-to-date for that time, but it was kind of rough. So if we got hungry and wanted to snack on something, we'd run in the house and get a biscuit. Eat that biscuit and enjoy it. And if we got a hot biscuit and put some butter on it, that was heyday for us. we really enjoyed it. But we were never hungry. We always had something to eat.
And did you go to school in Mandeville?
Yeah, I went to school at Mandeville. And I was a pretty smart boy. A's was my regular report. From the first grade through the third grade.
Mm-hmm.
Objection.
Okay. We played. We had a good time. We had a storm house. My dad had built a storm house, and I had some playmates: Joe Nathan Jackson, Willie C. And we would get out in the yard and start playing, and we would fight occasionally. And so, for my defense, I would run on top of the storm house and run down on him, swinging my hand, swinging my fist. That was my power stroke. So we played like that from day to day, and shooting marbles. And he had a pond close to the house, and we'd go down to the pond and play in the pond, wade in the pond, and catch crawfish. He had a good time like that. Well, I had a task. I had a job I had to see after, because we had a cow. And it was my chore to have to lad the cow every day. And I had to try to find some good grass spots to move. We had stakes where we moved the stakes and lad the cow in different places. And that was my job. I had to rely on doing that because that was my responsibility. Then let me see, I guess I was about 5 years old then. Then when I became 6 years old, I started milking, and I enjoyed milking. I got to where I could put my head against the cow and milk faster. Okay, well, I enjoyed that. About a year later, about seven years old then, I like to go to the field with my dad and watch him plow, and so I would ask him to let me plow some. And he had a Georgia stock, and it was a little simple plow, so I started plowing. He'd let me get in there, get the Georgia, behind the Georgia stock and start plowing, and I enjoyed that. So as I go on through that, then I began to use a turning plow. So I enjoyed that. Well, about a year later, I started going with my mother to the cotton field, and I enjoyed that. I was about 8 years old then. I'd go to the cotton field with my mother, Miss Georgia Bruce, and I would put the sack on the strap of the sack on, cotton sack on my shoulder and start picking. So I enjoyed it so until I started competing with my mother. We would carry a snatch roll. I get a roll, she get a roll, and then it was a row in the middle. So we would pick the roll we were supposed to pick, and then pick up the snatch roll until we were carrying 3 rolls at a time. I enjoyed that. Okay. It come to the close of the day, close of the work day, about 4 o'clock. I would stop and start rolling the car tire up and down the road. Well, Mama was still picking on because it wasn't too late to be working, but I was just tired then, so I given up and started playing. Okay. When I was 9 years old, I challenged myself to see how much I could pick. By 4 o'clock, I would have me 200 and some odd pound of cotton picked, and and when I carried the cotton to the scales, the heaviest I can remember that I carried, that I had in my sack at one time, was 79 pounds. I was 9 years old then, and they was bragging about how strong I was because had put that 79-pound sack of cotton on my shoulder and carried it to the scale. Okay, well, I felt anxious and I felt responsible for that. Okay, well, leaving that, I began to do more work around home. And all this time, by this time, my sister was big enough to take activities with me, so we played a lot, and we kept on those disputes and arguments, but we enjoyed it. So when we were going to school, my daddy had a place where it was my grandmother's store, and he had an account there. So every time we passed the store, we'd buy some candy and put on the account. But at that time, you could get a penny bar candy. So it was ours to get nickels worth of candy, so we get 5 penny bars and enjoy it. Baby Ruth, or Butterfinger, or whatever. But we would eat candy and candy.
Tell us about your high school years.
Okay, well, I told you, that's got to be a long tape, but I got a whole lot of stuff. Okay, but anyway, I attended school at Douglas High, so we going from the elementary part of it on to high school. Well, we moved from Mandeville. We moved from Mandeville, Arkansas, when I was 10 years old. When we moved from Mandeville, I was 10 years old. At that time, you could finish high school in Texas when you finished the 11th grade. But in Arkansas, it was the 12th grade to finish. So when we moved to Texarkana, I was in the fourth grade. And they put me back a year because I was moving from Arkansas to Texas. And that hurt me so bad, so I cried, and Mama talked with me, counseled, and to give me a cheer about it. But anyway, I was so smart in school, so they put me back up. From the grade they had put me back to, and so I was happy about that. And I was still making good grades in school. Well, it was my desire to have a bicycle. So late, I kept encouraging Mom and Dad to get me a bicycle. They got me a bicycle. And I used to have to go to the store quite often, so when they got the bicycle, it didn't take me years long to go to the store. So I enjoyed that. Okay, in August of 1943, I was riding my bicycle, and with a friend, Buck Relaford. We were riding double on a bicycle, and a car hit us head on. And it was, all I know about this is what they told me about that because it knocked me out. But they told me I stayed in the hospital 3 days. Was unconscious 84 hours. So anyway, after that, well, I never did bother about trying to get another bicycle because the people realized they were too dangerous for me, so I left them alone. Anyway, when I got up from that, I started going back to school. I was going to Grandview School then. So when people saw me, they started, "Hey, is this Elmer?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "Man, we thought you was dead." Because it had been published in the Texarkana Gazette paper 3 times that I was dead.
So you were a miracle then.
And so, I said, "Yes, I'm Elmer." And after that, some of my friends began to call me preacher. And then some of them called me doc. So it was prestige names they would apply to me. So I answered to it, and so that gave me a determination to reach for higher heights. Okay. Leaving that area, I was 12 years old. I was 12 years old when that happened, because that was August 1943, and that September I was 13 years old. So anyway, after that, going on from elementary school, I was in elementary school, to a high school. Went to Dunbar High, and I made good grades at Dunbar High. And in elementary school and high school too, I was always interested in dramatics, and I always took part in dramatics whenever I could, in elementary school and high school. And I never gave it any attention or any thought of actually becoming dramatically involved in a professional manner, but I enjoyed it in high school. So from there, we reached on, and I joined the Highway. It was a club for boys, and they had a try-out, the club for girls. I got involved with that, and we went to Jacksonville, Texas when I was in the Highway, and we enjoyed the trip there because it was club associated, and we enjoyed that. All right. I always took part in any school activities that I could. I don't remember what year it was now, but I think it was my sophomore year in high school. I started playing football, and in playing football, I played the guard position, left and right guard, and I enjoyed that. And so we went to Broken Bow, Oklahoma, to play football, and the shoes that I had was too big for me, so I was playing, and one of the shoes came off, and we were playing on a gravel field in Broken Bow, Oklahoma, playing football on a gravel field. So I said, "Oh, what experience!" So anyway, I continued, and I played football my junior year in high school. Well, anyway, taking part in all the activities I could. And so, I finished high school in June 1948. And after I finished high school in June 1948, I had already corresponded with college students. I had been writing to Tillerson College, and Tillerson was offering me a scholarship to come to Tillerson. Prairie View offered me a work program to go to Prairie View, so I chose to go to Prairie View. So I went to Prairie View in September of 1948. And I started out playing football at Prairie View. And I was pretty good on the team. I was playing guard there too. And they told me I was one of the fastest guards they had on it. But I couldn't continue because I majored in agriculture, and agriculture schedule was a heavy schedule. So I couldn't make the scheduled practice hours for football because of my class schedule. So I put the football down and proceeded to work with my chosen program in college. Okay, that was my first year of activity in college, and I did good in my grades then. But the second year, well, I had chemistry on my schedule, and I studied introductory college chemistry. Well, I thought it would be something simple to handle because I always was so crazy about math. But when I got involved in chemistry, it was altogether a different story. so I failed chemistry my first year. I think it was the first year I was taking. But anyway, I failed it. And I had a different attitude about chemistry then because I thought it was altogether a different setup from what math was. So anyway, I went on and I finished my 2-year program in agriculture. And somewhere, let me see, it was after completion of my sophomore year, I was 19 years old, and I had been attracted to and had seeked the admiration of a young lady, Jewel Thomas, and we started our togetherness in high school. So we decided we wanted to get married. And on May the 27th, 1950, we got married. Well, I went back to Prairie View in September 1950 and went for one semester. And I had taken an examination for postal clerk to work in the post office. And at that time, I thought it was a pretty good job. So they called me and gave me a job with the post office. To give me a job at the post office, but I turned it down because I was working at Red River and I was trying to get a permanent status at Red River. And when they called me and they asked me for temporary appointment in the post office, I turned it down. Well, the next year they called again for me to come to work at the post office. And that time I accepted it because after working at Red River for a year, I got terminated, reduction in force. And so when I went to work for the post office, I accepted that appointment in 1954. And I worked for the post office 34 years and 4 months. And reached the retirement stage. Okay. After working for the post office 34 years and 7 months. Anyway, and so now I'm enjoying receiving the benefits of my retirement. And there's several other things that covered that are interested in my lifespan, but the children, yeah, we after being, let me see, our oldest child was born in 1951, December the 8th. Okay. Our second child was born October 11, 1953. Our third was born September the 10th, 1954. 1955. Fourth one was born December the 3rd, 1957. Another one was born December the 18th, 1960. Another one was born May the 18th, 1964. And another one, and the last one was born February the 2nd, 1971. So we are the parents of 7 children, and they're all doing very well. We are happy about them. We appreciate of them and thankful to God for them, because they all seem to be reaching for greater heights. In the occurrence of the situation, I committed myself to God for the ministry, for the preaching of this word, on May the 16th, 1965. I did some running and trying to avoid it, but I could not escape the calling. And since that time, I've been happy serving in the ministry as best I can. We have a happy home, happy family. We built a home in White Village in 1955. We moved from there. We bought another home and moved from that home in 1961. We bought a home on Brown Street, 103 Brown. Still trying to reach high, we bought another home in 1977, 2703 Steelville, and that is presently where we live. And as for the broad scope of my personal life, that pretty well covers it. However, there are many things that have not been mentioned, but I don't want to put a burden on the tape that's being made.